Nothing so loud as hearing when we lie. Truth is not kind, and you said neither am I. And the air outside so soft, saying everything, everything. All I want is to feel this way, to be this close, feel the same. All I want is to feel this way. The evening speaks, feel it say. Nothing so cold as closing the heart when all we need is to free the soul.
So I'm here today to talk about my 2021 Yamaha Tenere 700, or T7 as we like to refer to these bikes as. So I've had this bike new since March of 2021. I bought it from my good friends at GA Checkpoint in Port Coquitlam, British Columbia. So a shout out to them. So I bought this bike at the time after having ridden a KTM 690 Enduro R for about 5 years. And I love that bike for what it was. It was great off-road, it's nimble, it's light, it's it's a light adventure bike. As I said, I really enjoyed that bike, but when you ride that bike on the highway, it does tend to beat you up because it's the single cylinder bike. I was looking for something a little bit more shall I say, comfortable on the road for long roads, but I didn't want to give up that off-road ability. So I test-ridden this bike once, briefly, and I really didn't ride it off-road very much at all, but I was sold on it. I thought, oh my God, the power delivery on this bike's amazing. It's great on the highway. And of course, the reliability of a Yamaha really attracted me to this bike. When you're going to do a long trip, the last thing you want to be worried about is reliability. And Yamaha builds bikes that last. They don't build them light, they may not build them as fast, but they build a bike that is really, really reliable. And to me, that was the #1 factor when I bought this bike. But after riding it for a while, I certainly wasn't disappointed with its off-road capabilities. In fact, I think it's amazing, and I think it really is one of the best lighter, smaller adventure bikes on the market today. So if you haven't ridden this bike, go try it. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. So, but with any bike that you buy, there's always going to be a number of things that you're going to want to do to adventurize it to your needs. So that's what I've done. It's taken me about 1.5 years to kind of get to the point where I'm comfortable with the bike in terms of adding everything I think is necessary to it. So I'm going to go over all of those things that I've added in the next piece here. So stay tuned, watch that. All the links to the parts that I've added will be in the video. And I welcome any comments and questions. Just reach out and I'll do my best to get back to you. Thanks.
Alright, so here's the T7, and I'll go over all of sort of the protection and armor that I've added to the bike, and as well as some electronics. So if you're a T7 owner or you're familiar with the T7s, you know they come with these crazy ugly signal lights front and rear. So that's one of the first things I did. I switched out the OEM signal lights front and rear for these LED lights. Got them on AliExpress. They're about $20 or $30. They're really cheap. So they're flexible, and I think they look great as well. So that was an easy mod. One of the other things I did was I added a USB power outlet as well as heated grips, and I moved the OEM cigarette lighter adapter plug from this side over to that side. I just thought it made more sense for me to have these items over here. Alright, so moving on to some other things at the front of the bike. I added the headlight protector. So you can buy these in metal, like a cage type thing, or the clear ones. And in fact, I had the cage one, but then I found this one and I thought it looked a lot better. So I've added that. I think that's really important because you certainly don't want to break the OEM glass or one of the headlights, especially if you're on a long trip. All right. As you notice, I did not add the high fender. I believe the bike looks great the way it is with the OEM fender. And when you do add the high fender from Camel, I think it exposes the brake lines unnecessarily. So that's why I didn't do that. All right. Skid plate. I think a skid plate of this magnitude is really, really important. It does come with a skid plate, but I added the AXP plastic skid plate. It's not cheap, but it also protects some of the engine as well. And then as you move up here, you'll notice I have some other engine case guards as well. I've got these from GBR Racing. They're cheap. I believe I got them on AliExpress. I also added this clutch lever guard, and I had this on originally, and then when I added this case guard, this wouldn't fit properly, so I had to customize this, but I think it all looks great. So that's another thing I added. Let's stay on this side of the bike, and you can see that I added some aftermarket foot pegs. These are great, a little wider. The OEM ones are really just terrible, I think. You'll also notice that I added the Camel ADV brake lever, the rear brake lever. This one gets rid of the issue where it's such a long throw with the OEM one, and this one gives you a much better feel for the braking. So I think that's a huge improvement. I also added the rear brake master cylinder guard. I think that's really important. I'm going to just move over to the other side, and you can see the other case guard here that I've added as well from GPR Racing. Another little nice touch, I added just these little plugs here. They're really cheap. So I added those. Case guards, crash bars. I think those are really, really important. Some people don't like them, but when the bike tips over, these are taking all of the damage and the weight, and it certainly protects all of your shrouds. I think if you tore up some of these shrouds or the graphics, you'd be pretty upset. So it's easy just to straighten these crash bars or paint them or whatever the case is. I got these from SW Motec. So there's many varieties out there. Also mandatory add are the hand guards. Really, really important, I think, especially when you're doing some off-road riding. I added the double take mirrors on both sides. I also added aftermarket clutch and brake levers. These were fairly cheap. I got them on AliExpress as well. What else did I add? I added the aftermarket windscreen. As you can see, I've already broken it. This is actually the second one I've had. They're cheap. They're about $25, so I'm not really too worried. I also added the rad guard. I think this is super important to protect from rocks or sticks, jamming into the radiator and springing a leak. So I think this type of protection is super important, especially if you're doing a lot of off-road riding, which I'm doing. And you can see that I did add some aftermarket exhaust. There's so much talk out there on the internet about the stock OEM exhaust. Yeah, it's huge. Yeah, it's heavy. Yeah, if you fall over and bend it, you can bend this bracket here, and then it ends up rubbing on the swing arm, which I've actually done with the OEM. So I took that OEM one off. It's hugely heavy, so you're going to save a bunch of weight. And I added this aftermarket pipe and slip-on. The slip-on is actually out of the UK. There'll be links at the bottom of the video on that. And then I just had to buy this extension pipe, and that was cheap. I think this whole setup was about $120 or $130. So yeah, it's not a Kropovich or FMF or something like that, but I like the sound of it, and it's the right price. And you notice I didn't do the high exhaust. I think it's fine. I like it the way it is. All right, so what else did I add? Of course, I added the tail tidy from Camel ADV as well. Again, that gets rid of those sinfully ugly OEM tail signal lights and the huge tail license plate light that comes with it. I think that's just, god awful ugly. So I've added this one, saved some weight, and it's much better looking. And again, I've got the LED lights, the Spirit Beast LED lights. I added a Tusk rear rack. Many options out there. I think this one sort of fits well with the lines of the bike, and it's not hugely expensive. Another really important thing is the chain guard down here. I think that's super important if you're doing any kind of off-road riding. In the event that you break the chain, this will prevent the chain from whapping around and breaking anything up front, like a case guard or something like that, which could be terminal. So I think that's really important as well. And you can see with this AXP skid plate, it actually protects the linkage. Again, I think that's great. I also added, sort of moving on now to sort of more of the creature comforts, I added the Yamaha Rally seat. It's a one-piece seat. It's a little bit wider, and I think it just provides a little more comfort. That's not cheap. It's around just under $500 Canadian. All right, so what else did I do? I've got a quad lock. I think these things are great. I throw my phone on there, and you'll notice that I've got a huge tablet up here that I use for navigation. So I've tried many different things. Originally, when I was doing some off-roading, I had a Garmin 64. They're great if you're just following a track, but they're terrible if you're trying to navigate in the city or anything. Then I had the Garmin 700. I think they're okay. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of Garmin. I just think their interface is really clunky and not very user-friendly, and I wanted something that provided, mapping, Google Maps, OSM, that sort of thing. So what I've done is I've bought this Samsung Active 3 tablet. So that's what this is. It's an Android, and you can run many things on this. You can run Gaia. I'm in British Columbia, so I can run Backroad Maps. I can run, it has this dashboard app here where you can, speedometer, drive mode dashboard, that's what it is, and you can have easy access to many different things. So here you can see I have Waze, Backroad Maps, Trailforks, Messenger, that's Garmin Messenger, Gaia apps, and OpenStreetMap, which is great. So this is kind of, for me, I think it's a game changer. So you buy this tablet, then you need to buy this mount, and it's I bought it through what's the name of it? Oh, ProClip out of the US. I think it's proclip.com. Again, the links will be in the video. And it comes with this little locking device here. It's not super secure, but I think it kind of, prevents any sort of real quick thefts. So it mounts to a Rally Raid mount that I've bought that mounts on a little crossbar from the anti-bobble that you can get from Camel ADV. So again, this is the Camel ADV anti-bobble piece, which is, I think, mandatory. Without this, the whole front of the bike shakes and the whole cluster moves back and forth. So this anti-bobble thing is great. Thanks, Camel ADV. You guys make some really, really good items. So as I said, the Rally Raid little mount there mounts into the back of this mounting device for the tablet, which is called Broded. All right, so what else have I done? Tires, of course. Right now I'm running the Motoz Tractionator Adventure tire. This tire right now is about I think around 6,000 kilometers on it. So it's pretty good wear. This is the second tire, second one of these tires I've ran, and the first one I've got just under 9,000 kilometers, which is pretty amazing considering it's a 60-40, 50-50 tire. I'm not easy on my tires. I go hard off-road, so if I'm getting more than 4,000, 5,000 kilometers out of a tire, I'm really happy. So I really recommend this tire. If you're going to do more on-road, I think a good option is the Motaz Adventure. I think it's called the GPS, the Tractionator GPS. It's just a little more roadworthy. So I've got a big trip planned for South America coming up the end of the year. I'm going to ship my bike down to Santiago, Chile, and I'm going to ride it all the way back. Well, first I'm going to go down to the tip at Ushuaia, and then I'm going to turn around and ride all the way back to Vancouver. I figure the trip's going to be a minimum of 35,000 kilometers. So I'm probably going to need about, I'm thinking 3 or 4 rear tires. So the first tire, I want it to last a good 8 to 10,000 kilometers. That's why I'm going to run that Motaz GPS tire. And on the front right now, I've got a Continental TKC 80. It's pretty much done. This tire's got about 9,000 kilometers on it. I've run many of these tires. They're great. They're very predictable. And they're really long lasting. So, as I said, this tire has got about 9,000 kilometers on it, I think. And it's about time for a renewal. And for the big trip, I'm going to put another one of these tires on. Again, I'm very familiar with them, and the wear is great. So the other thing you're certainly going to notice are the graphics. So these T7s, at least the 20 and 2021 years, are pretty generic looking, and there's so many graphics out there available for your bike to personalize it according to your tastes. So I got this from MPG Moto Graphics out of the UK, and this kit here was about 225 pounds, English pounds. So you can see, I think it looks great. Pretty much everything you see here is what came with the graphics kit. Yeah, so I like it. I mean, I've added a couple of other stickers, but not much. Yeah, so one other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a Acerbis aftermarket tank. So this bike from the factory comes with a 16-liter tank. It's really not enough. If you baby the bike, you can probably get about 350 kilometers, maybe a bit more, again, depending on how you ride it. And if you ride these bikes hard on the highway, you know it sucks fuel, and you'll have that fuel light come on at around 170, 180 kilometers. But, most of the riding, I seem to get around, before the light comes on, around sort of 200 to 230. And at that point, you still have probably about, 4 liters left. And so, you can easily do over 300 kilometers without many problems. But for a big trip that I'm planning, I really need over 400 and, 440 kilometers. So that's why I'm going to the Acerbis 22-liter tank. Now, the only thing is, when I add this tank, which I'm not too excited about, I'm going to lose these graphics right here, because this is the gas tank here. And in fact, all this is there's not even fuel in here in this part of the tank. This is really just sort of, I don't know, for show or whatever the case is. But anyway, the Acerbis tank is going to take up all this space here. I'm going to lose this graphic, so I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do there. But anyway, there's the bike. It's probably taken me sort of a year and a half to kind of get it to this point, to where I think it's ready to go away on a long trip. What am I going to do before I leave? I'm going to obviously change the oil, the filters. That's another thing. I put in a washable air filter from I think it's FMF. I'll put it in the comments as well. Anyway, I think that's really important. As I says, it's washable, so that sort of prevents me from having to carry a filter. So before I go, I'm going to oil and lube, all the linkages. I'm going to put fresh new brake pads on. I'm going to put new tires on, and I'm really going to go through the bike. I'm going to get the valves checked, or actually I'm going to do that myself. It's not too difficult. The valve check interval on these bikes is 40,000 kilometers, but I'm going to be somewhere in South America at 40,000 kilometers, and I don't want to have to worry about it. So I'm going to do it now. If I need to do it again later, it's an easy thing to do. Don't be intimidated. I was intimidated before I had done a valve check on any bike, but it's really not that big a deal at all, as long as you do a little bit of reading and have the right tools. All right, so that's it. I welcome your comments, questions. Just reach out, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks. Been a little bit of rain here, so it's really, really slick. As I mentioned, that front tire is pretty much done, so it's not really giving me much traction at all, so it adds a little bit of interesting excitement to the ride. This puddle. That front tire just slid. Thought I was going down in the puddle. Trying to avoid that log too. Alright, no sudden movements. A wiser person would say, just go slow. Wow, that's no fun, is it? Okay, I'll just go slow there. But yeah, it's pretty damn slick right here. Whoa. Yeah, that front tire is no good. I was up here a few days ago on my 350. It wasn't wet. And yeah, you can go a little faster on that bike. Oh, okay, what have I got myself into? Oh yeah, that's what happens when you try to change course midway through a puddle. Oh, camera fell off. Let's take a look at the bike. Oh, all right, I'm okay. Got that on film. That's pretty awesome. All right, I'm gonna. The camera actually came off my chin mount too. So I bought a chin mount from chinmount.ca, and I dropped the helmet on. In my garage, and the chin mount came right off. Like, that's not very good. So I'm going to deal with them for warranty replacement. In the meantime, I'm going to shut the video off and, yeah, try to lift up the bike. Okay, so no damage done. I just got a little bit crossed up in the puddle. Front tire went one way, rear tire kept going straight, and off I went into the bush. Camera fell off, got to fix that mount, but other than that, I'm okay. A little bit of mud on the bike, which is, that's always fun. And the crash guards did its job. It landed on the crash bar and the mark busters. No damage to the bike other than, like I said, a little bit of mud. So we're all good.